Afternoon. Welcome to Futures Recovery Healthcare. My name is Cindy Goss, and I am here today with one of our distinguished advisory board members for our newly launched Heroes Ascent program. The Heroes Ascent program was established to assist specialized addiction and mental health treatment services for our frontline workers, such as law enforcement, corrections, fire personnel, EMS, military veterans, and we're also assisting frontline workers from our healthcare field, our nurses, our doctors, EMS. And it is important for us to give back to those who have served us so well. And in order to put the most effective program together, we have created an advisory board of the top subject matter experts in this country that are from varied fields that not only walked the walk, but now are out there helping others as a result of what they experienced in their careers. So this evening, I would like to introduce to you one of our distinguished members, Chris Prochut.
Thank you so much, Cindy, and thanks for having me here. It's a pleasure to serve on the advisory board. I'm excited to help and to have this resource out there. It's comforting knowing that our first responders and our veterans are well taken care of.
Well, we look forward to your discussion this evening. And I wanted to start by asking you to maybe share a little bit about yourself and your experiences.
Absolutely. So I think like many police officers, they started out as a childhood dream that they want to be a police officer when they grow up. And that's kind of where I came from. And I finally got that dream to be fulfilled when I was hired as an officer in 1996. I served in law enforcement for about 13 years at the Bolingbrook, Illinois Police Department. Bolingbrook is about 45 miles southwest of Chicago. I rose up through the ranks very quickly. I was one of those go-getter, hard charger, and by age 34, I was a commander, which in our department was about third in charge. Our department was 125 sworn officers, and our city was 75,000, so it was a good-sized department. Did a lot of different things, supervisory, patrol, we did community policing, sergeant, lieutenant, and then as a commander, I also served as the press information officer. Unfortunately, in 2007, the biggest crisis of my personal life hit. I thought that I was prepared for it. I had been through all the training classes for press information, and you might be scratching your head going, well, how can a stressful event happen just because of the news? Well, it wasn't necessarily news coverage. It was that a very, he was a friend and he was a coworker, was ultimately charged with murder of his third wife while his fourth wife went missing. And he was the suspect for that. And I took it upon myself, being the press information officer, to get the word out that no, we had nothing to do with this. We're not covering for him. I thought I could change the world's perception of our department because everybody thought that we were, again, covering, we were part of the problem. This went on for months, and you know all too well the cumulative stress. Every day it was 12 hours, and it was rumors, and there was no backing from whether it was the leadership or the village board or the public. Very common to what we're dealing with right now, where you just get inundated with the press and things get just sensationalized. That landed me in a hospital. I had suicidal ideation and was preparing to end my life when my wife intervened. She made the call. My own department took me at that time against my will to the hospital, and I spent 15 days inpatient. I finally realized that's where I needed to be. I needed help. I couldn't do this by myself. I needed support. Ultimately, I needed medication. And when I left that hospital, I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. I tried to get a pension. I tried to go back to my job, but the stigma of mental illness, I believe, really prevented me from getting my job back. And I resigned after a lot of different court battles and board meetings on May 1st, 2009. That was the end of my career. And I thought that if this is happening to me, whether my crisis is the news or a large shootout, something traumatic that happens in somebody's life, I didn't do anything wrong to lose my job. I was sick and I went and got help. But because I did, I was blackballed now. I can't, apparently I can't work anymore. I can't be trusted. Now I'm a liability. So I went out and told my story, and truly, that's how I met you, Cindy. It's been about 10 years since I first told this story, and I can't believe where it's taken me. And in January of 2020, it took me to Futures as a visit, and I really was blown away. I wish that I had the same level of treatment and atmosphere of healing that I saw at Futures. And it's tough because I can remember those days where I went into the hospital and I had to be quiet about my career. They said, don't tell anyone that you're a police officer, Chris, because the people at the hospital that I was at were usually brought there against their will by police. So they had an angst towards that. And how am I supposed to heal? When you are going through a mental health crisis, you have to be open, you have to be honest, because secrets separate. How can I heal in a place where I still have to keep a secret about what got me there? Now, not with my doctors, but just with, the others that were there. And truly they become your friends and your support team as well, but you still had that uneasiness. And when I visited Futures, just literally the environment, the walls, the look, the feel that you get when you go there, it is a place of healing. It is not a hospital-like. It reminded me more of like a hotel or a resort, somewhere that's just calming and relaxing. You guys have separate bedrooms. And where I went, they just had beds that were in rooms. There's a difference there. And the level of care and how people came back after they were treated to help other people was amazing. I think a lot of times people go, I'm just counting the days that I can get out of this hospital. And you have people that go, yep, I was there and I went back because, that's where I grew. That's where I healed. So, certainly it's different, inpatient versus a visit, but that's why I joined the advisory board, because this Futures program, the Ascent program, is a foundation that is light years above where I went. And now, granted, that was 10 years ago, but we got to keep headed in the right direction. And I would say you guys you're there. We can still grow and we can still mold, but at least you have something to mold from. So that is kind of in a nutshell, why I wanted to be on this board and the partnerships. And obviously I learned too, but when I can interject things that I can see that officers and the military need to heal, things to think about, because I was in their shoes. If I could change one thing, I want to be able to bring that. And you guys listen. This is not just oh yeah, we have a law enforcement track. We do that. No, you have a program and you listen and you get it.
Well, Chris, I know a lot of people can't fathom the thought of someone contemplating the thought of suicide and taking their lives. And there's so many misperceptions of what gets a person to think that way. And one of the biggest ones is that these people must be crazy. And I don't know if you could share a little bit about how does a person get right to that edge?
I lost all hope. I lost all hope that it would get better. And I think one of the unique things in any sort of first responder is you get a badge, and that becomes who you are. That's your identity. And any threat to that, you're going to take my badge away, you might have ripped my soul away. And I knew that if I went to this particular hospital, because at that time in the state of Illinois, if you went inpatient, you lost your gun, you lost your right to carry a gun. And I wasn't going to do that. I wasn't going to lose my career. So in my eyes, I had failed at my life. I could not save my department from the onslaught of rumors and the media and the name calling. I mean, this was worldwide, Cindy. Emails, phone calls, that we're all the scum of the earth and we shouldn't be trusted. And I felt it was my position. And when I failed at my job, I failed at my life. I internalized it. I was a failure. And in my eyes, there was no overcoming that. I had spent, so much time doing this. I can't fix it. I'm done. I was spent and lost all hope. And that is a deadly combination. When you lose hope and you believe that the only answer is to end this psychological pain, is to end your life. And since then, obviously, I've grown and I've, helped other officers as well. And I think that the biggest thing is everybody's so afraid to ask that question because they're afraid of the answer. Are you thinking of suicide? Well, what if they say yes? What do I do then? You just listen. You shut up and you listen to them. Life's not going to be better off without you. And I remember the chief that night telling me, I'll do what I can to fix this, to help you through this, but you got to be breathing. So even though you think tomorrow's going to be worse, you know what? It might be better. Give it a chance. So stick around. But those days are very dark, and I completely understand. And I can't even imagine right now what officers are going through just with the stresses, whether it's lack of support or it is the media or the way the public treats them. What am I doing out here? Yeah.
Well, I know there's also this facade, this persona that officers put up there. They're taught that from the police academy, robotic, they're not human. And I teach a lot in the academies, especially the new recruits, and say you're going to get trained in everything you need from firearms to, the PTs that you're going to go through. But they're taught not to feel. They're taught not to become emotional because it'll eat them up and destroy them. But then in addition to that, it helps to encourage this ego that they're indispensable, that nothing can penetrate that shield that they wear on their chest.
Mhm.
And so I know you had spoken once with the psychiatrist that was in the hospital that said something very profound to you. And I wanted to know if you could share that with us.
Yeah, I've had a few counselors over the years. Yeah, I graduated the academy. I was a star. I help people. I don't get help. So in my eyes, which my view, my perspective of the world was, I was above the public. They come to me for answers because I've got it all together. I've been trained. I can handle this. And that was another part of, Chris, you can't handle this. I'm breaking down. And my counselor goes, Chris, that's real nice. You're not that special. So come on down here with the rest of us. We're all broken. Nobody has their ducks in a row. Some of them don't even know where their ducks are, so we're all just trying to get through this together.
And oftentimes when you look at why God brings us to places where we are now, we feel, in retrospect, blessed to have you in this position because now you're traveling the world.
Mhm.
You are sharing your story, which is, oftentimes difficult for you, which we respect you for. But in you sharing your story, I don't think there's ever one symposium that we have done together or one conference that we didn't travel, which we've traveled a lot between Canada, the US. We're still trying to get to Dubai, which we have to work on. But I don't think there's been at least one person that wasn't impacted by your story that may have been thinking about what you were thinking about 10 years ago.
Cindy, I'll never know how many lives that I've saved. And, I hope that there are more than a handful. I would have never dreamed that 10 years, ago, I would be telling my story now at the FBI Academy in Canada. So there was a bigger plan. Absolutely, there was a bigger plan. I fought it tooth and nail. But somebody had told me at a training that I am possibly saving more lives now than I ever could on the street by simply being vulnerable enough to share that story. And you made it a point that we have it all together, that armor. It almost drives me a little bit, and I'll say it, nuts, about all the books about armoring up. You got to armor up, put this on. No, you got to armor down. Okay, physically, yes, wear your vest, please do. But you know what? The vest comes off and you're just human. It's okay to have issues. And I thought at that time I was the only person who ever felt the way that I did, so dark and hopeless. And when I found out there's others, many others just like me, and you know what? A lot of them are cops too. It was a relief. Like, this is, even though it's abnormal, it's kind of normal. This is what happens when you see day in and day out and the traumas and the dead bodies, and you're rushing call to call and you can't process things, and you're running short and you're working 12-hour days. Yes, this is what's going to happen. Take care of it then.
Right. And you and I talk a lot about the importance of education, right? From new recruits and their family members that need to be included. They need to understand this culture. Supervisors need to know for themselves, as well as how to identify problemed officers that are working their tour, because they work with them, so they would know the differences in their behaviors.
Absolutely. Right. And I love how you pointed out the family too, because, without my family's support and the support of the people that I've met through, my talks, it doesn't go away. I'm not going to say that when I left the hospital, everything was hunky-dory. It's still work. It's still a work in progress. And there are still, whether it be anniversaries or little triggers or whatever it may be, COVID's not helping. It's still stressful. Still going, seeing the doctors, still on medication. It has to be managed, but that's okay.
Thank you. And Chris, if there were anything that you would say to someone, a viewer who will be watching this in the future, if there was somebody out there right now thinking about taking their life, and as we both know, it's an identifiable solution to addressing that pain, because I've heard that they're more fearful of living another day of pain than they are of dying. What would you say to that one person?
Hold on. Just wait. Your brain will tell you things are not going to get better. And you're going to listen to that, because why would you lie to yourself, right? But you're sick and you can't do it by yourself. And there are so many people that want to reach out and help. You're not being a burden to anybody. You don't know who to call somebody. Just reach out. Because the only thing that's taking away is the ability for it to get better, and you're passing along that pain. And you know how unbearable that pain is. You don't want to pass that on. How about we just get rid of it for everybody? You will smile again. You will. Living proof.
You are living proof, because I've always said that we call you folks our dream team that work with us, and we train all over, and we've got more coming in 2021, because the more we can go out there, the more we share and educate and share our stories, the more lives that we are saving. I can't thank you enough, Chris. It's always been a pleasure. You've been my family since I've met you.
Yeah.
I admire you. I admire your strength and your dignity, and Futures is just so pleased to have you a part. And we feel honored and privileged to have you a part of our program. And it's our hope that we can continue to engage you in our program, so that we can get the word out that what we do have available is available through people like you that are going to help guide us and literally pay attention to what you think we can do better to help our first responders. So I'd like to thank you, Chris, and thank your wife and your children. And we are blessed to have you. And just always know I pray for you and how much I love you.
Thank you so much. It really is my honor when you had asked if I would join the advisory board in a heartbeat. Just like you said, I want to guide, I want to help my brothers and sisters in blue. I don't want what happened to me to happen to them, but if it makes it worth all that stuff I went through to give me the knowledge to help further, it makes it all worth it. So my pleasure. Thank you, Cindy. Love you too.
Okay. Thank you so much. You have a great night and you please stay safe.
You do the same. Bye.